State of the Union. State of the Union, baby. I'll tell you what, State of the Union address this time is pretty exciting for me. It was exciting because State of the Union address in the past, it was kind of like started out like this. All of us should be ashamed to be American. And if you happen to be white, well, you know what you did. I mean, that's how State of the Union's pretty much started out for us in the past, right? I'm going to try to give you guys a little bit better lighting. I know the lighting's shitty about down here. It's above my head, but I am in the basement, and as you can see behind me, I have been cleaning the way I said I was going to clean. Anyway, that's how State of the Union addresses started in the past, the past 8 years. So this State of the Union address was pretty exciting. It was kind of like, hey, here we live in the land of opportunity, and let's all make the best of it. So, I'm not Republican. I'm not a Democrat either, but I'm an independent, and I don't have a lot of faith in Trump and President Trump, but I guess I say I don't have a lot of faith in Trump as I know him. I've never known Trump as president until now, so I guess it'll just time will tell, and we'll see what he does. I mean, for right now, there's certainly some positive things that he's done, and there's certainly some negative things that have happened. We all know about the guy that was deported. He was brought to this country as a child and never committed a crime. He's got a family, kids, all that kind of stuff, building a life, and he was deported. So there's definitely some negative things that have come out of this administration. There's negative things that come out of every administration. What cracked me up, I watched the State of the Union on MSNBC, okay, and just before, Rachel Madcow was on, and she was all like, in the beginning, she's like, what the fuck did she say? Oh, she said something about any speech that any teleprompter speech that President Trump has made in the past, blah, blah, blah. But what was funny about that to me was like, oh, well, it's a State of the Union. Now it's just a teleprompter speech, right? Because in the past, when it was Obama, she was like, oh my God, I orgasmed 7 times during President Obama's speech. Just by his words. I didn't even have to touch myself. That fucking piece of shit scumbag. It just irritated me, and that's not to say that, the conservative media didn't do the same things to Obama, but that stuff's just irritating because it's like, what? When it was Obama, it sure wasn't a teleprompter speech, but now that it's Trump, who you can't stand, this is just a teleprompter speech, right? And it is, and Trump, the one thing that Obama did great is he had great speechwriters, and I think President Trump probably has some, last night, wasn't real wordy speech. There was a lot of pause and attention paid to people that were brought there to have attention paid to them, respectively. But it was an interesting speech, and I'll tell you what, I enjoyed it because it talked about hope, and it talked about, let's be proud to be American. There's no sense, there's no reason for us to be ashamed to be American. I'm proud to be here, and I know people that are from other countries that are way more proud than I am to be here. But that's because they know what it was like to live in. Like I always say, my neighbor, I always point to him. He was from Romania, and now lives here, and that he tells me all the time. It's let's just say it's not the United States, right? It's not the United States. I'll never forget that time you told me about how, you guys here in the United States, you guys have all these rights, a right to this, a right to that. And he told me where I come from, we don't have a right to anything. Police can stop you on the street and say, what are you doing? How come you're not at work? And so, interesting times. I did touch on North Korea a little bit. Not sure where that's going with North Korea. I'm sure of one thing with North Korea, and that's that it's an oppressive government that is intent on oppressing its people. But the president didn't really talk about war or anything like that. As in the past, he kind of was pretty amped up and pretty intent that we're going to go to war of some sort with North Korea. Didn't talk like that last night. Brought some attention to, again, another person in the audience that had an experience with North Korea or was from North Korea. I can't remember what it was, but nonetheless, it was what it was. So, but yeah, man, State of the Union, right? State of the Union. I'm proud, man. Stand up, and Democrats just never cease to amaze me. And not that the Republicans are any better, because they did the same thing when a Democrat was president. The Republicans did the same thing. They would just sit the entire speech. But at least the Republicans, when the President Trump said some things that everybody could agree with, like, hey, let's be proud to be Americans, let's stand up. That's why we stand during our national anthem. At least when Obama said things like that, at least you would see some of the Republicans stand, in which case, when President Trump said it this time, none of the Democrats stood. So, interesting stuff, nonetheless. Hold on one second. Sorry about that. Had to wish my kid well on her ventures out the door, tell her I love her, all that great kind of stuff, the kind of thing you do when you're a father, even though she's 20 years old and she knows everything there is about everything there ever was to know about. Still can't complain. She's a pretty damn good kid, pretty sharp. Don't always agree with well, any of you that have 20-year-old daughters, you understand what I'm talking about. Don't always agree with their choices, but sometimes you gotta let kids fall on their face where they need to fall on their face. Also grabbed myself a cup of coffee while I was up there. Tastes pretty damn good. So anyway, where were we at? Democrats, I'm sure. Yeah, Democrats did not stand. Did not stand. Even when President Trump said something that we could all agree with, which to the Democrats' credit is not very often. We can't always agree with everything President Trump says. It's our duty to pick those things apart and make sure we're keeping President Trump on his toes and let him know that we're here and we run this country. You're just a person in office for 8 years, sir. Which brings me to this point. The goddamn Congress looks like a bunch of fucking, what do they call that? Like an old folks home? Old folks home, you know what I mean? Like a retirement community. That's what it looked like out there in the audience last night. For fuck's sake, you young people. And I suppose I could include myself in this because I'm still young enough by that standard to run for office. But all you guys who have political aspirations and whatnot, would you fucking please get out there and start running for office? I'm a huge supporter of young people getting elected into offices such as Congress and the U.S. Senate. We need young people to get in there and shake shit up. President Trump's an old man. He's in there shaking shit up, but he's in there shaking shit up as an old fucking man. We need young people in there to shake shit up, and bring, we have new technology. The technology of Nancy Pelosi is had its time. It's long past, along with Bernie Sanders. I'm trying to think of old Republican, and I know there's plenty of them to point at. I just don't know a lot of the names anymore because to be honest with you, I'm so disgusted with the whole ball of wax. That's why I'm not a Republican or a Democrat. I'm an independent, but I'm still a free market capitalist. I believe that we all have if you work hard, you're going to get where you want to be, and that's what I believe in. I suppose I lean more conservative on some things, but there's a lot of things that I lean liberal on as well. Gun control, I'm conservative. Prostitution, I'm liberal, right? But in all seriousness, I believe that, and I've said this in videos in the past, I believe that we are way behind as a country when our citizens do not have health care coverage, universal health care coverage. And, it's been proven time and time again that the United States government, when I say United States government, I'm talking about you and I, man. We are the United States government. If you reside here in the United States and you're a citizen, you are part of the government. That's what you are. So I'm talking about us and the taxes we pay. We could cover everyone like that with no problem. We're the wealthiest country in the world for people. Come on. Why do you think people are coming here? People sure as fuck aren't leaving here in drones. They keep coming here. President Trump touched on the immigration a little bit. We really gotta be careful about how we go about this because I agree 1,000% that we need to vet people coming into this country that are wanting to live here and get citizenship here. We got to make sure we know who the fuck we're letting through the doors, people. We really do. We can't. And there's ways to do that, and there's simple ways to do that. But in this day and age, I don't want to take away from people's dream to get to the United States. And if you're a hard-working, law-abiding person from wherever country, and you want to come here to better yourself, the United States wants you here. We want you here. We want you to come here and live your dream. On the other side of that, if you're a terrorist or something like that, God, we would rather see you shot at the door than let you any further than the gate. You know what I'm saying? And somehow or another, we're going to have to figure out a way to vet people. And on the other side of that, as I talked just a minute ago, we can't have people being deported from this country, under a law that is just, throwing the baby out with the bathwater. So I hope Congress, I would love to see Republicans and Democrats work to make this country great, this country's already great. I'm sorry, I really misspoke. But what I'm saying is that we can always be better, and we're always supposed to be better. That's why we are the United States of America. We're always getting better. But we certainly, in this day and age, we are not leading the world in a lot of things that we should be leading the world in. As a matter of fact, China, you can look at China, and China is they're taking advantage where we're not, and they're fucking... China's on track to be the world's leader and then leave us in the dust. So, I think the United States, there's a lot of work that could be done to ensure that we stay the world's leader. So, but yeah, State of the Union, baby. I'll tell you what, I was pretty excited about it. Usually, the last 8 years of State of the Unions, I liked President Obama. And I liked, he was a great speaker, and I didn't always disagree with his policy. I didn't always agree with his policy. I didn't always disagree with his policy either, but he was a great speaker. But I never walked away from a State of the Union that President Obama did as excited as I walked away from this State of the Union. And what's funny about that is I really don't like Donald Trump. I don't think... I don't know, I guess, like I say, it remains to be seen how he'll do as a president. I hope he does fantastic. I'm 100%, I'm 1,000, Mr. President, I am 1,000% in support of you as president, and I really hope your presidency is the finest of all presidencies. I really am. I support our president. I said that when Obama was in office. I said it when Bush 2 was in office. I said it when Clinton was in office, I didn't always like the president. I didn't always go into it liking that person, but he's the president of the United States, people. He deserves our support until it's proven otherwise. So, President Trump said a lot of things that have pissed me off, but he hasn't done a lot of things so far in this tenure. We're 1 year in, and I can't say that he's done a lot of things that piss me off, or his particular decisions have done things that have pissed me off. Things that the Republican Congress has done, that there's things that they've done that considerably pissed me off. But trying to think of something President Trump's done I'll tell you what he's done. I know I should have, this could have been right off the top of my head. Here's the one thing that President Trump has done that's really, really pissed me off more than anything and any other member of the government. He lied to us. He flat out lied to us, and he did it again last night when he talked about tax cuts for the middle class. I'll tell you what, 1 year from now, you can come talk to me about it. If you say, oh no, we're getting cuts, come talk to me a year from now. Tell me if you got your cut, because I'll promise you didn't. Now, if you're way up in the upper echelon of income, I'm sure you're getting a nice tax break. But he didn't really get into the whole the beast of it. But basically, we're gone back to Bush 2 era of trickle down economics, which in the history of the United States has ended in disaster. Can't understand why President Trump insists on, and I suppose it's not him that really insists on this. This is what Congress has come up with, and it sounds like a good deal to him, so he's going for it. I don't know. I really can't tell you if the guy's smart enough to decipher between the two or put two and two together. I don't know. All I know is that, hey, this is what the Republican Congress came to him with, and he said he thinks to himself it sounds like a good deal, so he's supporting it. So there you go. You can't always blame the president for, you know what I mean? You can't always blame one person, especially when it comes to government. It's usually a conglomeration of a whole bunch of people that made a decision on our behalf, which it's not on our behalf. And that's another thing I wanted to get to in a few minutes ago when I was talking about Congress. I was watching the State of the Union, and I thought to myself, every member of Congress should fucking do themselves a favor and leave there tonight and go shoot themselves in the fucking head. Because that's how useless they are. None of them have represented the views of you or I in forever. Number one, about 80% of them have been there and are too probably not even mentally fit to do the job anymore, Nancy Pelosi. So there you go. So I'm going to leave you guys with this. Let's, this next election, when Congress is coming up, let's see who's running. Let's elect a young person, with the new ideas and the fresh ideas. Forget their political affiliation. If what they're saying sounds good to you, let's elect their ass into office. Let's see them shake shit up. Let's see, for once, if I was elected to Congress, I mean, that whole, you're supposed to represent your constituents. I would be freaking out about that if I were elected to Congress. I would represent my constituents' views 1,000%, even if I completely disagreed with it. That is your job. That is why you're there, to represent not your own point of view, but the point of view of your constituents. So if you're a Republican and you are elected over a bunch of Democrats, you have to represent their views, not your own. And if you're smart, you let it teach you something. All right, guys. State of the Union. State of the fucking Union, right? All right, get out there, improve your life, and all that good stuff. See ya.